What's up, guys? Gillian, podcast 24. Last one of the year. Here we go.
I was just going to say the last one of the year, right
Wow.
before 2023.
I like it. 2023. I think it's going to be a big year. Big year it's going to be setting up.
I'm still writing 2020 on things. So
I love it. Oh my goodness. That's a good one. So much.
I'll get caught up eventually.
Yeah, you'll 2023, you'll caught up. You'll sooner or later, you'll be even. So much to get into, so much from this past weekend with the UFC 282 and judging and shit. I kind of do want to talk about almost grand stuff like fight of the year and fighter of the year and shit. And then of course with you personally, a lot of shit has happened to you professionally, I think in the last 10, 11 months. So I'll definitely get into that. But yeah, last one, Mic Cuddles, episode 24. We'll get into it. Crazy times. Let's just kind of start with the now, right? We were just talking about it off air. What a crazy night. UFC 282 in Vegas. The first 9-10 fights were all finishes. We're all crazy finishes, great stuff. And then we had two judges with the co-main event, main event. We think the co-main event got it wrong. And then the main event was a split draw for a vacant championship and Glover sitting in front row. Just madness. I didn't even get your point on that. So let's stick with the co-main event first and then go to the main event. What is your opinion and take on the Paddy Gordon judging decision?
So watching that fight live, the next morning live because I wasn't able to stay up that late that night. So watching that fight the next morning, there was no way that I scored all 3 rounds to Jared Gordon. 1 and 3, I feel like were very decisive. In 2, I guess you can see the argument of why it was given to Paddy, but I feel like it was still, I would have given it to Gordon. So, yeah, I feel like that's one of the worst calls I've ever seen. I feel like there's some fights, a lot of people keep on bringing up the Peter Yan and O'Malley fight in this spot. And I feel like in that case, it was a close fight. That fight could have won either way. This fight is a clear, robbery. There's no way that I saw Paddy winning that fight.
All right, with that, I agree. The second round to me was the Paddy round. If you're going to give Paddy the round, the first round was the most easiest round out of all 3. The first round was Jared Gordon. His left hook was flush, was beautiful. And I remember in a weird way, we're wow, okay, this is going to be a good fight. Gordon just won that first round. That puts all the pressure on now Paddy to win 2 more or finish him. And I think offhand, I think Lovett, Jordan Lovett defeated Paddy Pimblett in the first round as well when they fought earlier the year. So I thought a lot of pressure. But real quick before you got into it, because you texted something about you going to bed. I think it's so funny. So pulling the curtain, we're supposed to record yesterday. And, Gillian and I we text back and forth. And so I was and I was super busy too. But I was oh, I didn't hear anything from Gillian. That's fine. And all of a sudden, my phone dings at, this is the greatest time. I don't even know if you know this. My phone dings at literally 4:20. I'm oh, Gillian's up. And this is the best part. So with me being kids and Gillian being 26, being on 55, Gillian texts me, I would say 95% of the time between 5:45 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. That's your prime text. And sometimes I feel hey, you text. I'm yeah, no, my kids got me up. I'm up. But then your second text is around that 4:20 mark. Somehow, some way you're awake during those hours. That's your prime time.
I feel I'm so used to training. I wake up. I usually have to be at the gym by 8, so I'm up at 5:45 so that I can get ready, head to the gym, and then I'm there until probably about 12:31, and then so it's once. Yeah, then I get home and I nap. So it's literally my body. If I'm not training, my body just starts crashing around then. On days that I don't train, I'm wide awake at 5:30 a.m. and my boyfriend hates me for it. And then I'm right around 1 o'clock, he's it's so evident. You can just see you hit a wall. Yeah. I'm 1 o'clock is my nap time.
And by the way, I felt horrible, when you're out and your significant other, you don't introduce. He was sitting 2 seats next to me. I didn't say hi to him or anything. I felt so bad at the Icon show. I was dude, I should have said what's up to him because I still don't think we've ever talked, your boyfriend and I. So I was I felt bad. I felt like a bad co-host, dude. I'm sorry.
And like me and him, I feel like we're both the same. We're both just socially awkward, so probably didn't even rub him any kind of way.
There you go. There you go. But all right, so back to the Paddy fight. Yeah, so I thought round 2 was probably his best round. Round 3 was crazy because everything I've been hearing, like, everyone is like so pro Paddy on round 3. And watching the fight, like, I get that Gordon didn't do much. I really do understand that. And if you want to say that, I get it. But like me and Elle got in, like we on the same side, got into it so much a couple nights ago. Like, just like, Jill, imagine holding someone against their ill will against a fucking fence. Like, the fence does not feel good. I don't have to tell you that. The cage door does not feel good. It's not like it's fucking like a bounce house. It's horrible. And literally, Jared Gordon was holding Paddy against the cage for 4 minutes against his will. Like, Paddy doesn't want to be there. Like, for him to get zero credit for that, to me, is mind-blowing. Just mind-blowing.
The whole, like, how Dana went in on Gordon for that round kind of really got to me. Because I'm like, Dana's accusing, he was like, oh, Gordon went out there like he won the first 2 rounds and didn't try to win that 3rd round. Well, that's exactly what Paddy did. Was he went out there like he won the first 2 rounds, didn't win that, and just can cruise the 3rd round. And then it's like Dana blames it on Gordon and the ref for not getting the fight off the cage instead of blaming it on Paddy for not getting the fight off the cage. It's like defend properly and get yourself off the cage. Don't be looking at the ref to save your life.
Yeah. That was so far. I've never heard that point, and you're so true, so right. Like, dude, Dana was like, "What the fuck was Gordon doing?" It's like, wait a second, that's what Paddy was doing too. And like, even if you want to think, some people out there thought maybe Paddy won round 1 or 2. I thought Paddy won round 2. I will give Paddy round 2, but round 1 was ultra close, and me myself gave it to Gordon. I thought we're going into the 3rd round 1-1. Like, that's where my mindset's at and all that stuff. And it's just wild. And also, so this kind of, I guess, let's go down that rabbit hole of the judging. And we kind of talked off air about some people are not happy about that, the one judge and blah, blah, blah. I will never, like, of course, I don't think the UFC has anything to do with like, hey, dude, let me give you 20,000 if you let Paddy win, or here, O'Malley's a star, here's a 50,000. But it's human nature that if, like, I'll use you as the perfect example. If I'm at Icon and we're talking shop at the weigh-ins and you're not there, Gillian Robertson is not there, and female MMA comes up, I'm going to bring you up. Like, you're my friend. I support like you, like, I will bring you up. That's just like, human nature. So of course those judges know how much Paddy and O'Malley mean to the UFC and going forward. Also, too, like that. Remember the Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz too? Like, he won split decision that second fight. Like, Conor, if it went to the judges, Conor was going to win that fight. Like, and it's not like it's not cheating. The UFC's not paying the money. I'm not saying that at all. But it's just like, it's human nature to be like, oh, like, Dana's the boss. The UFC's the boss. I'm under the UFC roof. For them to keep on selling out shows, like, it would be good for him to win. So let me give him the 29-28. Like, right? Am I off? Like.
Well, I also saw an argument too where it's like, when you're in the arena live watching it and there is somebody who does have a fan base like Paddy Pimblett or like Sean O'Malley, it's like every time something happens, the crowd is going crazy. Right, and it's like that might influence the judging just a little bit too, just hearing the extra cheers or the extra boos. Or like, I remember hearing something about a fight where it's like there was somebody who was a really good striker, so they're like, oh, every time it hits the ground, just make the crowd boo, so then the ref feels the pressure to stand it up. It's like there's situations like that where I feel like the crowd does influence how the fight plays out.
True. No, that's true. That's, man, gee, 2 good points 9 minutes into the podcast. You should be a podcaster for a living. I love it. All right, so before we get into UFC shit of the year, main event, what did you think about the main event, Ankalaev and Jan?
That was definitely a very close fight. I feel like first 2 were pretty solid at Jan, and the last 2 were pretty solid at Ankalaev. I feel like the third was the toss-up round. Yeah. I would have still, it's like vacant division, and I feel like Ankalaev did enough to win the belt.
Okay. And it's kind of funny. So my 2 fun stories about it is, in a weird way, I almost feel like the UFC was happy it went to a draw, if that makes sense, because Ankalaev's legs were probably fucked, right? And they really want Glover to get the shot before Yuri comes back, all that and all that. Like, in a weird way, I bet you Dana's like, dude, like, I don't want this fight 8 months from now. Like, if Ankalaev can't fight you July, like, that does me no good. Like, I want to keep that division going and also get Glover something as well. So, like, I felt like as soon as the draw happened, I'm like, dude, Dana's so pumped. I bet you Glover fights. And this is before he announced he's literally fighting in 4 weeks in Rio. I bet you in the next 2-3 months, I was like, they're going to have Glover as the title shot. And that's what happened. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing with that is, did you go back and watch that fight or just?
I just watched it once through.
Okay, just the once. So as soon as the fight is over, Ankalaev like puts his hands up like he won the championship. And Jan like sits back on the cage, fucking deflated. I'm like, man, am I the same? Like, because I thought the same thing. I'm like, Ankalaev won 4 and 5, the 5th round. If you want to do the 10-8 thing or 10-9, that's the fun debate too. But I was like, I thought Jan won 1, 2, and 3. Like, going into the 4th, I thought Jan was winning. Ankalaev finally got him down. Jan is literally horrific on the ground. Like, he's on his back like an infant child. Cannot move, cannot get off. I'm sorry. He's horrendous on the ground on his back. But like, I just thought it was so bad by Jan just to look that awful, like that defeated. It was like, dude, I thought you just won the championship. Like that really kind of like rubbed me the wrong way, if that makes sense. It was like, oh, I don't like that.
I feel like body language, like just throughout the fight, plays out a huge thing.
Yeah,
like
right.
Sometimes a person can kind of be winning the fight, but can not necessarily look like it by their body language, and the judges might score the fight to the other person. And I also feel like Jan was saying it after the fight. He was like, I don't think I won, but I don't really know. I don't know. I have to watch the fight back. Because it's like when you're in there, like you remember things that you did, but it's never how you remembered it. Like anytime I've won or lost a fight and I watch it back, I'm like, especially my losses, I feel like in my mind, it's terrible. I'm like, it's just, I feel like so bad. It takes me a lot to really watch a loss. And then once I watch a loss, I'm like, oh, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah. It's like back to like the Gordon Patty thing. Like, it's never as bad as you think, or as good. Sometimes it's not even as good as you think until you get like the finish. The finish is usually great over and over and over again. It's wild that because the other person, like when they kind of just crap on Gordon on that 3rd round, and Dana was so adamant. Now it's so easy just to piggyback what Dana said, and it's hard to cross him. But like, I just don't understand. Like, when you fight any one of your last opponents, like that person knows that you are going to try to get them down and go for their back and for their neck, like the whole throat cuddles thing, like that. They know you are going to try to do that. So it's wild that, like, I don't know. It drives me wild. Like Patty's like just standing there against the cage for 4 minutes. And it's just like, oh, he won the round. Like, he had a cool last minute, maybe. But for someone to hold you back for 4 minutes, nuts, madness. All right, we're over it. 13 minutes in, we're over it. All right, fun one. What was your fight of the year other than yourself? You know, you can't say you against Agapapova. It was a great fight. It was close, 2nd or 3rd on my list. But what was your fight of the year?
Fight of the year. Gosh.
Maybe I should have told you I was going to say this to you.
Yeah. No, I actually think I do got it, though.
Okay.
I would say Juliana, Pena, and Amanda, too.
Okay. I dig that.
I feel like during the first time they fought, Amanda, she was like, oh, no, it was a fluke. I had COVID that camp. I had a knee injury. I wasn't really training. And everybody was like, oh, yeah, excuse. And then she went out there the second fight and proved that those weren't excuses. Yeah. She showed that she's just on a next level. And I feel like she just 100% outclassed her. And I don't think I've seen a fighter outclass somebody like that this year.
Yeah. And it was, like you said, outclassed, dominant. She was like vicious in that fight. It was kind of like old school Amanda in a way. Good call. To me, mine was Glover Yuri 1. Like, that fight was so good. It was in Singapore. It was a back and forth. And it was so wild because Glover was like the underdog, and like Yuri's just a monster. And then like both guys almost finished each other. And then Yuri to choke out Glover with like under a minute left is crazy. So that to me was my fight of the year. To me, this might be a little bit easier. I think. Who is your fighter of the year? Other than yourself, you can't say Gillian Robertson, other than you, who's your fighter of the year?
Can't use Amanda again. Amanda's always my top, I guess. I'm trying to think of a boy that really impressed me. Oh, actually, I do know one. Makhachev.
Okay.
Makhachev, I feel like went out there and just really showed that he's on a next level with his performance against Oliveira, and I don't think that a lot of people are really close to him right now. I feel like it was really impressive to watch him.
Okay, that's a good one. Mine is Alex Pereira. Like, for him to go literally unranked and really new to the sport, for him to be the champion and to be a dominant champion like Izzy and how he did it. To me, Alex Pereira is my fighter of the year. I think that's a good one. To me, one of the easiest ones. I think we might be on the same wagon on this one. What was your knockout of the year?
Knockout of the year. I may have to go with what you just said, Bahia.
Okay. That's a good one.
I feel like he was definitely losing that fight and came back with a very impressive 5th round. So, yeah, either him or Leon Edwards and Usman.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't even think of that. Mine is Michael Chandler against Ferguson. The front kick, the up kick. That shit was crazy.
That shit, will just haunt your dreams, you know?
It's
terrible.
Brutal. But no, the Edwards Usman's a good one. I totally forgot about that one. All right, last one of the year. This is a fun one, and to me, this is, I think, going to be a little bit controversial, at least from my side. What was the event of the year? What was your favorite UFC event of the year? This can even include you if you want to be involved, but what was your favorite event of the year?
Favorite event of the year? I'm going to go back with the Makhachev and Oliveira. Okay. It was O'Malley Yan. There was another fight too that was on that card. That was
Dillashaw Sterling.
Yeah, Dillashaw Sterling. I'm like, that fight and that whole event, I feel like, was just exciting to watch.
That was a good one. So that was a pay-per-view. So my kind of flashy thing. So I have two. Neither one's a pay-per-view. First one was in March. I believe March or April was the first time the UFC went to London. And it was Patty and Molly McCann. Yeah. It was literally bonkers over there. Arnold Allen, Aspinall won the main event. It wasn't a great main event, but Aspinall won. Just the crowd. The first time them back in London was insane. And then the same kind of thing. You were there live for this one. I thought UFC Orlando was absolutely bananas. The crowd was so good. There were so many good fights. It was a long card. The main event was insane with Holland and Wonderboy. To me, UFC Orlando. I'm a little biased, but I loved UFC Orlando.
UFC Orlando, I feel like my seats, I just had the best view where it's I don't know. It's like watching a video game in real life, when you ever just being able to watch fighters that are that high level be able to perform on such I don't know, the UFC stage is just different.
It is. When I'm at Icon and I'm I got literally the best seat in the world for Icon, but then Jillian's there in the house. I'm hey, I kind of move around. I say hi. I'm hey, Jillian, you're here at the UFC. She's yeah, but I got the best seat, so I'm not moving. Dave, I won't see you at all tonight. I'm all right, dude, later. We'll see each other maybe.
You were all fancy up there in a suite and everything. So
that was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. It was, I guess I can say it now. So we snuck into a pretty sweet suite and it was cool. It was a good time. They had food and drinks up there. Loved it. All right. So 19 minutes. We really didn't mention you. Let's kind of go all in with you now for the last 5-10 minutes of the show. Crazy 10 months for you, probably professionally, moving and gyms. And, it's kind of funny in a weird way. The GOAT is probably perfect for you because it's kind of the opposite maybe of you and your personality and all that stuff. So the marriage of you and the GOAT, your last fight was probably almost as perfect as you can get it. Having one of those stoppages that will be on your highlight reel for a long, long time. How did kind of this last 6, 8, 10 months go for you?
I guess it feels just slow to me. I didn't do enough this year. So next year I would definitely like to get in the cage a lot more. I guess depending on weight cuts and things like that, if we're going to 115, probably 3, I would say 2 to 3 times, still keep it about the same, but I'd probably just be in camp a lot longer, last time I took a short notice fight at the beginning of the year, and then I felt like I was in camp forever for that Maria Agboba fight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely just like to be more active, like to get more done. I feel like it wasn't, I guess, the most productive year for me inside the cage. I'd like to get more done.
Okay. So is it just when you say get more done, is it strictly just inside the UFC cage? Is it more like, hey, I got 2 fights and 1 win. I would love to get 3 fights, maybe even 4 fights, but get 2 or 3 wins? Or is it even just more stuff? I know how much you love doing grappling like events. There's kind of like I think it's actually on tonight or tomorrow night. UFC Fight Pass is that combat jits. I think that's really cool. I think that's up your alley. I know the last time you had a hurt nose or something of that nature. Like, is it more just a little bit of everything? Would you love to try to like step up to the next level of like the analyst or something of that nature, kind of outside the cage? Or is it just strictly like, okay, probably the next 2-3 years or maybe your best prime years of your like physical shape? Is it just really trying to get 3 fights in, let's get 3 wins. Like, let's get 3 wins in 2023.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is going to be combat focused more than anything else. I guess I do want to be I want to have 3 wins under my belt. I want to kind of get back on track. I feel like when I was younger, I was kind of my first couple years in the UFC, I was really racking up the wins and really on the right track, and then I felt like I kind of lost my path a little bit, and I just want to get back on track. Want to get those wins on deck. I want to, if I can, have the opportunities to be an analyst or on a desk. I would love to have that opportunity as well. I'm like, that's definitely a goal for me in the future. So any opportunity I'm willing to take for that. And just in general, just building my brand, building me, and trying to really just, I'm like, I don't know, getting that like quarter life crisis at like 27 where I'm like, I feel like I don't got a lot of time left in the sport, so I really got to make the most of it.
I do get that, and that's like a real reality for sure. But like in a weird way, does it make you feel better when guys like Giannis 39 fighting in the main event? Jared Gordon, like I feel like Jared Gordon's been around forever. I feel like his name's been around forever. No disrespect at all, but to me that was his best performance. I know it was a loss and everything, but he was the co-main event of a pay-per-view against maybe one of UFC's biggest stars, and he's a little bit older. Like I feel like in a weird way now the UFC is starting to really, there's a lot of fighters. I saw like there's a list, top 25, under 25, but I feel like all these big spots are going to, older fighters or more veteran type of fighters. And I feel like you just say your age. I feel like you have an absolutely like huge like runway. Like you're not even close. I think you're just like in a weird way getting into your prime. We talked about this so many times on this podcast and out of the podcast. You probably even got into the UFC maybe even too early. Like you maybe got in there 18 months, 2 years too early. And if you had kind of more regional and just more, training, if so say, whatever, like now you would be like, hey, I'm kind of 6 fights instead of 11,
Oh yeah. And, I don't know. I definitely feel like that, but I also, I feel like I am coming into my prime. I feel like a lot of the champions are, if you look at I want to say almost all the champions, but I know majority of the champions are over 30 years old. They're and so for me, I'm like, that's kind of like my goal. I'm looking at like, all right, you got 2.5, 3 years left until you can start like pushing for the belt. So that's what I'm thinking about, is really like pushing that line, making sure in the next couple of years that I will be in that contender spot. And by the time I am 30, I'm ready for that kind of opportunity.
Right. All right. Last thing, and we'll let you run. Last podcast of 2022. So when you do your, write-ins, you got to put 23 on stuff. 2023, Gillian, next year. Have you kind of 100% made that decision or hunkered down? Are you looking at like a Wei Lee, or are you still looking at Valentina? Where are you at on this weight class kind of debate or back and forthness?
Currently, I feel like we are going to at least try for 115 my next fight.
Okay.
At least, not solidified at 115, but see how the weight cut goes, see how I feel fighting, and maybe stick there for the rest. I think 115 will be a good home for me, but we'll see how it feels.
Are you like, is there a part of you, it's like, God damn it, I don't want to feel good in the cage and be dominant and win, because now like shit, like Eden and this, like is 115 like a life-changing issue, like for the next multiple years? Is it kind of like, Dave, I can't really get that far out from that. Like I got to kind of, how you eat and, less all that shit. Is 115 an absolute life change for you?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It has to be a complete lifestyle change. It's just, when like I eat, say, like 90% healthy when I'm cutting to 125.
Yeah.
And I'm walking 132. Right. So to really make 115, I really have to 100% dial that in and make sure that I'm walking less than that. So I've been started this last month. I literally haven't ran in like 3 years. This last month I've started running. So I feel like if anything, that shows how serious I am about this.
That's the next step. That's like when you get committed with a significant other. It's like, hey, honey, I'm going to go running. It's like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, literally everybody who's seen me with shoes on, they're like, you running?
I didn't know you had sneakers. I didn't know you owned sneakers.
One of my friends would ask me every single day after the gym, and he'd be like, Gillian, come on, let's run. I'm like, oh, I forgot my shoes.
Yeah. I love it. And, maybe less gummies too. Less gummies. Those have calories. I think I looked at the bag. It's like 4 calories, or you have to less gummies at night. I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Those we'll deal with somehow, some way.
Yeah.
More running. Still same amount of gummies.
Exactly. I'm willing to run for the gummies.
There we go. Crazy 2022. It's nuts. Is it cool to see Dean from afar? Kind of. I know you're still super close and all that, but to see him, like, his last post was like him. It was just him, DC, Rogan, Anik, and Megan. It was just like he's kind of like legit, like in that group of 5 now. It's crazy. It's like that's our Dean. Yeah. Like,
he's big timing me now.
Gee whiz, he won't answer the call anymore. What's wrong?
Exactly. No, I'm like, he's still coming to train in sessions, so we're good.
There you go. Until then, that's when we know we lost him for good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, G, I appreciate you. 24 episodes in, we've done some lives, we've done a giveaway, we've done some stuff. Super excited for next year. Like, yeah, next year is shaping up so good. Like, I feel I've been doing this for years. This just putting in roots and planning stuff. And it seems, I think next year, a lot of that stuff will build out. So it's gonna be crazy. Big year in front of us.
I'll see you in 2023.
See you in 2023. All right. Have a good one.